wants to be king!
The other day I was watching the Candace Owens videos and she was talking about Amber Rose. And in that video she shared some of the dialogue between Amber and a host of some show she was on. You know, in the past I've made videos and made reference to people like Brittany Renner. And I've made no secret about my disgust, my disdain for women who carry themselves that way. Not in what they do per se, but the fact that they delusionally believe that this makes them powerful. And to watch these women celebrate their atrocious behavior like a pig waddling in mud, it's kind of disgusting when you consider that there's a child watching this woman carry on the way she does. And typically I don't touch these topics because this channel's not built on finding the worst examples in our society and pointing to it like losers like Rollo and Donovan Sharpe and all of those red pill dorks do, saying, look, this is how modern women are across the board, and hypergamy and all of that stupid shit. But every now and then these women come along and it warrants speaking about them for reasons that I think that are a little bit deeper than the surface. One of the biggest reasons that I've come on this platform, that I make videos and try to share my experience with the young men and women who listen to this, is because I didn't have anybody guiding me and explaining to me what I was going through, what I was experiencing, and why I felt the way I felt in life. And as I grew to peel the onion back and realize that what I was, who I had become, was much deeper than my initial grasp, the further I peeled that onion back, I came to realize that a great deal of the problems that I had in my life came from watching my mother be exactly what modern women are today. The difference between my experience in the 70s and what these young kids for the past couple of decades have experienced is the acceptance of women behaving badly. See, we hear constantly about toxic masculinity, and you don't have to look very far to find some feminist or entitled, empowered woman speaking about how horrible men are. The internet is flooded with examples of women just taking men's typical behavior and trying to demonize us for looking at things that are natural to look at. Just going to a gym is now some sort of way you're supposed to look down and mind your own business. And that's just another example of a space where women have come in a once male-dominated space and completely destroyed it. But in that destruction, they've also destroyed men. Anything that was classified as typical masculinity, traditional masculinity, is now seen as toxic if it's done with somebody with a natural penis. But nobody talks about the toxicity of these single mothers, not single mothers in the vein of Richard Cooper and his projection of his experience with the single mothers that have used and abused him, but in the context of these women that have no business having children, like Amber Rose, and what the impact of what these women do, what they are, what they've done is going to have on these boys and their girls. One of the biggest problems that I had in my relationships was trying to fix the problems that were installed in my software by my mother. I've spoken several times about my experience as a young kid, and my father going to prison, me losing my father to that, was probably less impactful in my life than staying with my mother and watching her do the things that she did to survive. The difference between now and then is my mom did some really poor job, but she made an effort to hide what she was doing. She made an effort to deny what she was. When I listened to Candace Owens share that discourse with Amber Rose and the host of the show she was on, in that show, she proudly boasted that her son checked one of his buddies because he made a comment that he didn't really have a preference in a girl as long as she wasn't a girl that put herself on OnlyFans. Instead of this boy allowing his friend to have his own opinion about things, he checked him. And she almost cried. On her own words, she almost shed a tear because her young feminist son told his buddy, "Nah, bro, you can't do that. You can't tell a woman what to do with her body. You got to let her do what she wants to do because it's her body, it's her choice. She can do whatever she wants to do." And because this little boy thought it was cool for a man to be a simp in that vein, his mama was proud. But that wasn't the totality of it. She went on to discuss that she knew that he was going to be Googling her one day, and he was going to find out all the things that she did. He was going to find out exactly who she was. And instead of repenting for that, instead of explaining to her little boy that that type of behavior is not acceptable, that it's wrong, even if she had to do what she had to do, instead of telling her son that it was wrong, she justified being a hoe by wiggling in front of his face the trips to Disney World and the trips and the clothes and all the nice things that her being a thought provided him. So she bribed this boy into accepting what she was as a horrible woman because of the nice things that he was provided. But worse than that, even probably the most disgusting part of this, was when she shared how proud she was of how deeply ingrained the cuckoldry was of her own son. When he was 2 years old, he would come into the bathroom while she was sitting on the toilet and ask his mom if she needed a tampon. And if she did, he was going to give it to her. And my question is, did she show him how to insert it? Did she show him how to put it in? You know, I've often touched upon the fact that we've got so many weak, castrated young men and boys in our culture. And I never considered the impact that maybe not just the lack of fathers has had on these boys, these men, you who listen to these videos, who watch this channel. Maybe it's not just the impact of not having a father figure present during your most pressing times, but maybe more so it was the presence of a mother who consumed all of our innocence. See, for myself, I know that to be the case. Being the eldest of 4 kids, my mom shed her soul at my feet every time the man she thought was going to save her from her own creation left her in the dust, every time she got ghosted. And this happened over and over again. Every time the next man left, she got drunk and cried at my feet and put all of that on my shoulders as a 6, 7-year-old boy. So I didn't get to see on video, online, on the internet, the things that these young boys are going to see. But the things that I was told molded me as a man. And when I started making decisions about who I was going to share my time with, I spent a lot of years wasting my time trying to fix my mother and the women that I chose. So I think that a lot of people who come into this space have more than just a lack of male role model. It's a bigger issue than that. There's too much influence from the mother. And so often this passive-aggressive devouring of the young boys happens, and it's done in the guise of providing and protecting and raising up their little boy as their little man. But what they do is they raise their little boys to be what they wish their fathers were. They raise their little boys to be cucks, to accept bad behavior from women. What are these young boys whose moms are on OnlyFans, who are on the carousel? What are these young boys gonna grow up to be? What sort of women are they going to choose for their lives? What we've done what the sexual revolution did to our culture is starting to reap rotten fruit. And I think one of the most rotten fruit that has come out of this, aside from the destruction of the family, is the destruction of the woman. When women like Amber Rose are vaulted to prominence, when they're reach celebrity status for simply being born pretty and being nasty sluts, our society is ruined. The poetry in the whole story is that the queen of pussy hats lost her last man to share, old senior citizen hoe from back in the Gap. What is Amber Rose's son gonna grow to be? Who is he gonna grow to be? I'm sure we'll see it. I'm sure we'll see it plastered all over social media, just like his mother. And no doubt it will be a train wreck, just like her life. For those of you who find yourself having questions about how and why you became who you became, you got to come to terms with a very real possibility that the things that you experience in your relationships with women are a direct relationship with that you share with your mother. Out.